da Vinci by Alison Warner. Leonardo di Ser Piero da Vinci was born in Vinci, Italy on April 15, 1452. His name meaning Leonardo, son of Messer Piero from Vinci. He was known for his artistic abilities while also being a mathematician, inventor, and writer. At age 67, he died in Amboise, France on May 2nd. Piero Frusino de Antonio da Vinci is Leonardo da Vinci's father. The inclusion of the title Sir in Leonardo's name indicated that Leonardo's father was a gentleman. The second picture is a family tree, which will be more explained on the next slide. This family tree shows his great-grandparent Piero, then his grandparents Lucia and Antonio, who had his dad Piero and his uncle Francesco, which then shows a self-portrait of Leonardo, and then few of his other siblings. Caterina and Piero had Leonardo. Then his father got remarried multiple times. His marriage with Margherita resulted with two other kids named Antonio and Gillian. Then had two daughters and 7 more sons with Lazarazza. The beginning. At the age of 14, Leo became an apprentice for a man named Andrea del Verrocchio, whose portrait is shown on the right. He's learned a wide breadth of technical skills, including metalworking, leather arts, carpentry, drawing, painting, and sculpting. This is Leonardo's first known sketch and the first thing found that he dated, August 5th, 1473. This is when Leonardo was only 21 years old. It also happens to be credited as the first landscape in Western art. There was a note on the back that stated, "I am pleased with Anto." This shows Leonardo's first sketch full picture. Baptism of Christ. He continued to collaborate with his teacher for an additional 5 years. It is thought that Verrocchio completed his Baptism of Christ around 1475 with the help of his student Leonardo, who painted part of the background and the young angel holding the robe of Jesus. Renaissance man. In 1482, Da Vinci sketched war machines such as a war chariot with synth blades mounted on the sides, an armored tank propelled by 2 men cranking a shaft, and even an enormous crossbow that required a small army of men to operate. Virgin of the Rocks. The picture on the left shows the painting in the Louvre Museum in Paris, France, while the picture on the right is a better image of the painting itself. His painting of the Virgin of the Rocks, begun in 1483, demonstrated his pioneering use of chiaroscuro, a stark contrast between darkness and light that gave a 3-dimensionality of his figure, and sfumato, a technique in which subtle gradations rather than strict borders infused paintings with a softer, smoky aura. Leading artist and intellectual of the Italian Renaissance. His artwork during the Italian Renaissance period, people said that he was the leading artist and intellectual of the Italian Renaissance. The Last Supper, which is on the left. This was a large fresco style painting painted on drywall rather than on wet plaster. It took Da Vinci 3 years to complete this artwork, although it started to deteriorate fairly soon after it was painted. Mona Lisa. This was painted between the years 1504 and 1519 and was requested to be painted by the subject's husband Francesco da Giocondo. This painting was originally commissioned in Italy, but now hangs on the display in the Louvre in Paris. Final years. Leonardo returned to Milan in 1506 to work for the very French rulers who had overtaken the city 7 years earlier and forced him to flee. Among the students who joined his studio was young Milanese aristocrat Francesco Mellez, who would become Da Vinci's closest companion for the rest of his life. He did little painting during his second stint in Milan. However, the most of his time was instead dedicated to scientific studies. Although da Vinci is known for his artistic abilities, fewer than 24 paintings attributed to him exist. One reason is that his interests were so varied that he wasn't a prolific painter. For centuries afterward, however, thousands of pages from his private journals with notes, drawings, observations, and scientific theories have surfaced and provided a fuller measure of a true Renaissance man.